The Wolf of Snow Hollow. That is a wonderful poster, by the way. I love it. In fact, it's much, much better than the actual film. It was written and directed by Jim Cummings, who also plays the lead role of a police officer named John Marshall in a small Utah town of Snow Hollow. It's a very secluded town, and the story takes place in the middle of the winter. Everything is covered by snow, it's visibly cold outside, and the many wide shots of the surrounding mountain ranges help create this atmosphere of isolation. The town is plagued by a series of mysterious murders. Young women are being killed and mutilated, and the only traces left at the crime scenes point to a large canine, a wolf. Every murder also takes place when there's a full moon, so naturally some people lean into a theory that it's actually a werewolf. John doesn't subscribe to that theory, and he believes it's nothing more supernatural than a serial killer that's just pretending to be a wolfman. As the story goes on, he struggles to keep his sanity between the increasingly difficult case to solve and his personal problems, which include difficulties staying sober as a long-time alcoholic, his arguments with his teenage daughter, and last but not least, the decaying health of his father, the current sheriff, played wonderfully by the late Robert Forster, for whom this is the last role before he passed away. So it sounds like an interesting mix of crime mystery, horror, and personal drama on paper. But the actual movie is very, very weird precisely because it tries to be a combination of so many different things. And the execution of that is that it unfortunately seems like the film cannot decide what it wants to be. Like, after the opening 5 minutes or so of the film with the first murder, I was expecting a straight up murder mystery horror. Then the police begin investigating the case, and the comedic nature of many of their scenes made me think, okay, so it's actually not treating itself that seriously. It's meant to be more lighthearted and funny. And then suddenly we veer into this more somber tone of a character study with Marshall plunging back into the bottle, struggling to communicate with his daughter and father, and we have a series of scenes which seem like they're meant to be this deeper character exploration. So which is it at the end of the day? I couldn't tell you. I don't know what was the intent of the movie, how it's supposed to be received and interpreted. I think it's very confusing in that regard, and that is just not a good sign. Which is a shame because I think the setting of the story and the cast are pretty good. And so I think if the film would rather just pick one thing and be that, whichever it would be, it would have been better than this weird amalgam of three different types of movies that do not mesh together very well. The actual end result is unfortunately rather messy and chaotic, and because it's so difficult to say what it's trying to be, and by extension who's meant to be the target audience, it kind of makes it impossible to recommend to anyone.